And a lot of these players that we're about to name, this segment is presented by PrizePicks. It's the NBA stock market report. Who is rising and who is falling. And, rising comes with points or doing something on the court, whether it's rebounds, assists, points, steals. Yes, it's all about that. So, let's do our players. Let's list them out. I know me and Riv, we kind of did it like in team format. Like we have like point guards, shooting guards and stuff. We didn't all have to do it the same way.
Did you actually do that?
Oh, you didn't do it? Okay, I did that shit. So let's go with the stock market report. Let's talk about the rising players.
At the point guard position, it's got to be Gabe Vincent. His stock was all the way down.
Nuts.
His stock was all the way down after last season missing a ton of game. He was injured. He was hurt. Definitely wasn't the Gabe Vincent we thought we were getting. But now he's back. Now, he never was this prolific three-point shooter. I don't know where people kind of had that in their head like, in Miami, he was a sniper, but he was this great defensive player.
Run,
For no doubt, definitely was. But he shot 37% career high in Miami. This season, at a calm 34 after last year, which was in the teens, hey, we'll take 34, but what moves me is that defense. He really has been a great jolt of energy for us on the defensive side. I really can go on and on about role players for the Los Angeles Lakers, but when we're talking about point guard and we're talking about role players, I got to show love to Gabe.
And last year was
struggled this year.
Last year was a recession. Tonight. This year, it's like $1. Now he's up like to $1.50.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. If it was at $1, no, we're back up. If it was at $1, no, we're at a calm like 4 or 5.
So, some good returns. I mean, let's get into some heavy hitters, man. I feel like we disrespected this topic by starting off with Gabe.
I'll start one who I think is maybe the biggest riser of them all, Toumani Camara. He has to be amongst all of these players.
Are you salty, Riff?
One of the highest risers. This is a guy who went from a throw-in piece to a trade to last year getting some burn, but no one really talking about him.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with Camara?
No, Riv's gonna say Toumani's my guy. Like, I didn't know Dels really knew that.
Honestly, him saying it really came from left field. I didn't think he was gonna name him.
He knows ball.
He's been great this year. This is somebody that could be on an all defensive team. We know how great he is defensively. He's shooting about 38% from three.
Left-handed.
He's fantastic, man. Like, this is somebody that went from you weren't thinking about him to now he's a key piece to this Trailblazers score.
No doubt. Staying on the Portland Trailblazers, though, let's show some love to Scoot Henderson. He's just all-around efficient, way more from his rookie season to sophomore season. Still that same level of playmaker, showing a little bit of intensity on the defensive side. Maybe not averaging as many points, but really it's a matter of how clean his opportunities have looked. Shooting 37% from three, 43% from the field, but doing it on less minutes as well. Just looking a lot more cleaner as he progresses in his young NBA career. So got to show some love.
I apologize. Camara was 39% after the All-Star break. It's like 34 in the season 35.
I was very stuck on which Blazer I wanted to mention because Toumani Camara is up there. Scoot Henderson is up there. Shaedon Sharpe is also up there. I think like those are the three players that their stock has rose a lot for the Blazers this year, and they're like cornerstone pieces for them moving forward.
Yeah, I will say, because I had Scoot on my list, so I was doing some homework. His efficiency has improved. It's not amazing, but it's improved. He
went
from
55% true shooting.
He's still not a good finisher.
Yeah, exactly. He was 38% from the field last year, 43% this year. But at the rim, he was 46% last year, which was god awful. 55% this year, which is better. But post All-Star break, 15 a game, 38% from three. So he is showing some progress this last quarter of the year.
Brandon Miller. Gotta catch up.
I think, Riv, like we might have the same stock rising. I think this is pretty unanimous for me.
I was going to name them all.
This was the first guy I thought of. It was Cade Cunningham.
Okay. I didn't have him up here.
Okay.
I didn't have him, but yes,
I understand.
Definitely.
I thought his stock like rose the most of like
I thought we weren't doing obvious players. That's on me.
No, that's fine. Like his stock has definitely rose the most out of anybody in the league. So
it was tough because I wanted to, I made my team. My first team, I wanted to put Tyrese Halliburton on there, but I was like, I can't do it over Cade. So Cade was like my first team point guard starter.
You should just go through your list, dude. I'm interested.
My second team was Tyrese Halliburton, point guard starter.
Oh, you did a first team second team.
I did it that way. Crying. I was just like, I had a lot of names, so I was like, let me put it into positions. So my first team is Cade Cunningham at the 1, Trey Murphy at the 2, even though he's like a tweener. Jaden McDaniels.
That stock is
yes, his stock is rising right now. Zion Williamson at the 4.
Have to have him.
I think his stock is, he's playing at an elite level. I think he's third in PER right now amongst all power forwards.
He's averaging 25 career high in rebounds. You know what he does as a playmaker. Defense, sleep on it. It's been good.
Yeah, like if he's staying with the Pelicans long term and they have like a top pick, then I think it makes him really dangerous. My center is Ivica Zubac. I think like he's playing like an all-star level. Like he's so close to there. Then my second team, I have Hallie. My shooting guard, I have Josh Giddey. But thinking about it now, it could be Dyson Daniels. I think he deserves a shout out too. My small forward, it was Shaden or Toumani Camara between those guys. My power forward was Evan Mobley. And then my center was Jaylen Duren. I think Jaylen Duren, the two-man action between him and Cade, the defense has improved for him as well. That would just be like my first two teams. Is just the players that I think have came into the season in like a different tier, and then this year they have like walked into a tier of where they're like a cornerstone piece, or if, like in Evan Mobley's and Cade's case, they're like a superstar, and Tyrese is getting back to the same PR resume he had before.
Only gripe with your second team would be Jaylen Duren over Jackson Hayes. I think Jackson Hayes legitimately deserves to be over Jaren Duren for the sole fact.
Jaylen Duren.
Thank you very much.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah,
am I saying Jaren Duren?
Yeah,
that's a baseball player, but that's a mistake of mine.
Is it really?
Yeah, he plays center field for the Red Sox. He's actually amazing. Jackson Hayes went from a guy that people thought shouldn't even be in the NBA potentially, like a legitimate negative, to a legitimate great defensive player with a legitimate presence on the offensive side because of Luka, but mainly as just vertical a strong vertical threat. Exactly.
He was good.
And I think Duren, for what we had expected, I think that's the only reason why I would definitely favor Jackson Hayes in this conversation. But I get it. The Pistons.
No, that's a great shout because Jackson Hayes he's been starting for them, and when he plays over 25 minutes, what's the record?
We don't lose.
Yeah, I think they're undefeated when he plays over 25 minutes. So that's a great shout out. I think a lot of centers are showing out. Really impressed by Zubac though. I think
Zubac's first team guaranteed.
Zubac, as of like recently, has really taken his game to another level.
Yeah, Zubac's my dog, man.
He is your dog.
I have a lot of players, so I'll just run through them.
Yes.
Stock up players. Ty Jerome's definitely up there. He's going to earn himself a big contract this offseason. Just a guy who plays his own pace, really efficient, really nice. Has a really nice floater, which I think is dope. That helps him get downhill because he's not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy, but he has good size. He's able to use it.
He's great from mid-range, too.
Yeah, exactly. He has great speed up, speed down ability where he can slow down, speed up. Like, it's really good for a guy who's not that fast. Aaron Wiggins is also another guy who I think is playing out of his mind as of 2025, especially for OKC, a team that is a weird team because you're not always going to get a shit ton of opportunities with SGA pretty much dominating the ball, and you have JW, you have Chet. But Aaron Wiggins has shown he can put the ball on the floor, he can hit big-time shots, and he's really good on defense. Max Christie is also another guy I threw some love for, especially over the last 5-10 games for the Lakers. He was playing really well. Got traded to Dallas. He's really found his groove, found his stride with the Dallas Mavericks. Glad they have him because he's one of the bright spots of a really dog shit trade. Jaden Ivey was a guy I put on here because even though he did get hurt earlier, I have to acknowledge the shoot and jump from the mid-range and the three-point shot, especially in the catch and shoot department. He really started to learn to play with Cade Cunningham, especially in a year, coming off a year where Monty Williams completely destroyed his confidence, completely put him in a very terrible situation. Jaylen Duren was another guy I had up here just because, like you mentioned, the rim protection has got better, the defensive efforts got better, him just being better as a player. He's really getting his stride with this team, a team where they're not, like, they've been waiting for these young players to kind of mold together, and unfortunately Ivy did go down, but Jaylen Duren starting to get it together. Dyson Daniels is another guy who I think deserves some love just because I've always liked him, but he couldn't find his footing with the Pelicans. And now with the Hawks, his offense is still a work in progress. But defensively, he's so damn elite. He's probably going to make an all-NBA team, all-defensive team, probably first team because the amount of steals he racks up is truly mind-boggling. These are on-ball, off-ball. And then a couple notable names, like Jordan Poole. I think his stock has gone up just from him having an efficient year in Washington. Trey Murphy is a guy whose stock has gone back up. Darius Garland is another guy whose stock has gone up, especially just – I feel like he's a tier above where he was just because of how efficient he is from everywhere on the floor and how much better as a scorer he's been. I know his numbers don't show it, but just the efficiency of how he does it and how clutch he's been. He's probably been their clutchest player statistically this year. He's been amazing in that department. Derek White, for me, I'll put him on this list, and Halliburton, I'll put on this list just because of the way I viewed those guys. Derek White I viewed as a low-end role player, but now he's really looking at being that stride of maybe he's not an all-star, a medium-tier all-star player, definitely a low-end guy just in terms of a do-it-all type of vibe. And then Halliburton, just for how I viewed him as a player, and I think he's really growing into pure point guard.
Balling.
That and definitely and he's not the same as these other high-end scoring guards where they can go get one of the consistent.
Calm it down over there, buddy. Calm down.
He's playing so good he can't even hate.
No.
He's playing so
He's
good.
moving nasty.
I told you I'm on positive vibes. Man.
I know, bro. I'm proud.
Positive vibes is there. And
Now apologize to Vando.
we'll wait till the
TBD?
playoffs for that. Yeah, that's
His
that's
offense has been good.
he cracks those minutes up. We'll talk.
Jaylen Clark.
And then my last guy, John Morant, man. The stock is back. I dropped my phone again. The stock is back, man. Just from him playing like shit to now he's playing really, really great.
He saw your tweet. He said this
not
can't
only
be.
did he saw my tweet, he realized he has a mid-range. I think that's what's the difference in these last 9-10 games. You actually have a mid-range jumper that you can use so that you don't always have to go to the rim. The three-pointer is fucked. I'll admit it. It's not good. But the mid-range, to get into his floater, to get into the little bump, and then the backhand, like the mid-range is there along with the finishing ability. And he's always been an elite passer. So, yeah, those are my stock.
Another guy I'd like to show some love to, DeAndre Hunter. I know we've listed every single Cavalier. DeAndre Hunter, I know he was averaging almost damn near 20 points. It was like 18 on the Hawks, but still came to the Cavs, shooting 50% from the field, 50% from three, on damn near 15 a game. He has been unbelievable for them, as an amazing addition for them. Christian Brown is another guy that I want to give some love to. One of the best role players that the Nuggets do have, probably the best, unless you call MPJ a role player, which he probably is. But regardless, Christian Brown, what he brings on the defensive side, how energetic he is on the offensive side. And Kobe White, I'm surprised because, again, the stock was down in the beginning of the season. He's definitely started to cook up recently.
Giddy.
Pongaro's another guy that comes to mind. But you mentioned Zion. That's just a guy that I have to give nothing but praise to. A guy that gets nothing but slander because jokes are greater than facts in a lot of people's eyes. Last 20, he's averaging over 25 a game. He's averaging career high in rebounds. And you know what he brings to you as a playmaker. That's probably his most underrated trait, but I love to bring it up because that's not something that you think about when you talk about Zion Williamson. You think he has this in his bag? But again, and also the defense for him, I want to give him some love too, because in a team that really just lacks juice and consistency because of all the injuries that they've had, he's really made it a point of emphasis to go above and beyond. And
he's getting fucked by Paolo right now, though.
No, the Magic game had gotten out of hand quickly, no doubt.
Like I think Zion is playing at a borderline superstar level. Like if we're just looking at his numbers and the way he's playing, there are very few players that are playing better than him.
It's just legitimate that when you go talent for talent with Zion and just ability to go out there and dominate games, there are not 13 to 15 players that do it as well or as high of a level as Zion Williamson. And I understand the injury stuff. It obviously is more than fair. He has 3 seasons of being healthy. That is definitely a genuine concern. But it's unfair to just judge his game based off that, because when he's on the court, he's special. Last year, he played 70 games. The year that he played 61 games, the year after the COVID season, he averaged 27 on 60% from the field. He was amazing. We've seen him have, although it's not a legitimate playoff game, but in a playoff type game against the Los Angeles Lakers, his first game, he had 40 points before going down with injury. Who knows what happens if he stays healthy? We know what he is when he's on the court. We can't allow what happens when he's off the court to cloud our judgment on who he actually is.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's a dog. It's just really the injury concerns are the only thing that have ever held me back with Zion. Because when he's on the court, I mean, there's, like you said, 15 players. That's probably generous. Like when he's right and he's healthy, he damn near took down the Lakers a couple of years ago. The only other 2 names I'll mention, I think it's only 2. I think Franz stock is definitely up. I feel like after last season, especially the playoffs last year, where it was Paolo going crazy and Franz does not have a great game, or excuse me, a great series efficiency-wise, this year it's been the opposite. Paolo has really been the one showing, although he's been playing a lot better these last couple of weeks. But for the most part, Franz has been their best player this year. He's averaging damn near 25 a night. The three-point shooting is still bad, but from the corner, 44%, which is, a pretty decent mark. And the only other name I think I had was
Pam Pritchard.
No, Jaylen Johnson. Before the injury, Jaylen Johnson's stock was super high. He was averaging 19, 10, and 5, potentially last all-star spot type of guy. But, of course, the injury derailed the season.
I feel like to round out this list, Quentin Grimes mention must be involved with the Sixers. He really wants a contract. Yeah,
Najee stock is definitely up. I should have showed him some love.
Dels, how do you feel about this? Because when I was doing this list, I was just writing names, and I think amongst the top 10 players, I think Tatum's stock might be the most up. I think it's
SGA.
at a better place than it was last year.
Probably,
SGA's stock is very much up, but I think Tatum performing in primetime games this year and playing at an elite level in those games, I think that's rose his stock a lot to where if we have a playoff run with him doing this, he will be in that conversation.
Do you know whose stock is actually up of top 10 players? Steph Curry.
Yeah, as of recently,
His
absolutely.
stock is definitely the most up out of all the top 10 guys.
Yeah, he went from like a guy who you don't know if he can carry a team to a deep playoff run anymore to like you feel confident he can.
Honestly,
do it
LeBron's stock's up too.
And that's a fact.
LeBron was a player. Like, I feel like last season people were like, yeah, like he's still top 10. We'll give him the respect. But I mean, I don't think anyone thought he was going to have a top 5 All NBA first team season.
Clears KD. Clears KD.
Yeah, he does.